Hello guys, welcome. So today we're going to read an interesting story which we have read in our childhood. Maybe. Okay, let's get it started. You will get this story nowadays in English for today of class 9 and 10. Okay, so the story name is A Pound of Flesh. A Pound of Flesh. I think it's written by William Shakespeare. I'm not so sure. Okay, whatever. Let's get started. Once upon a time in Venice, Italy, there was a very rich merchant named Antonio. He had many ships that sailed in the sea. Sorry. His ships carried different types of merchandise to other countries. He sold those goods there. He bought spices and other valuables from foreigner countries and sold them in Venice. Antonio was a good and kind man. He always helped the poor. The people of Venice loved him very much for his honesty and kindness. Antonio had a close friend named Bassanio. He was a handsome young man and was born in a noble family. Bassanio liked to live a very luxurious life. He loved grandeur and style. Okay, this is a new word, grandeur. Let me see this one, Grandeur, grandeur, right? Grandeur. Let me see the pronunciation as well. It seems like difficult. Grandeur, it's a C1 level of vocabs. Wow, that's fascinating. Grandeur, grandeur. So the UK pronunciation is like grandeur, grandeur. The quality of being grand, impressive, or magnificent in appearance, style, or scale. Okay, the grandeur, the grandeur, the grandeur of the ancient place left the tourist speechless. Grandeur. So the quality of being grand, impressive, and magnificent. Okay, great. So let's go back to the story once again. He loved grandeur and style. He had spent more money than he earned. As a result, he was very often short of money. In such situations, Bassanio would go to his best friend Antonio for help. Antonio would help him with cash. It so happened that Bassanio fell in love with a wealthy lady named Portia. Portia was known not only for her beauty, but also for her wisdom. She was soft towards Bassanio too. He wanted to visit Portia in a grand manner, but he did not have that money. So he went to Antonio. Bassanio said, "Dear friend Antonio, I'm in great need of some money. I would like to visit Portia at Belmont, grandly dressed and with many servants, but I don't have any money right now. Please help me to fulfill my intention." Antonio said, "This is not a problem, my friend. How much do you need?" 3,000 ducats. Ducats. Okay, it is Venetian currency. Okay, Venetian currency will do. I don't have that much money with me now, as all my ships have gone out in the sea with merchandise. But don't worry, my friend, I'll arrange 3,000 ducats for you. So he decided to borrow the sum from a moneylender named Shylock. Ah, okay. Is it like Sherlock Holmes? Okay, Shylock was a very crooked man. We can predict the meaning, but still we will look for the meaning, right? Okay. So we'll be kind of like bad person, not straight, bent or twisted, dishonest or illegal man. Okay, so crooked man, dishonest or illegal man. Okay, understandable. So Shylock was a very crooked man. Antonio and Shylock hated each other. Shylock used to lend money with his high interest. He would even send the debtor to prison if the latter failed to pay his debt. On the contrary, Antonio used to lend money to help those who needed it and would not charge any interest. Shylock agreed and lent him money, but on one condition. If he failed to repay the money in 3 months' time, he would pay a penalty. Shylock would cut a pound of flesh from any part of Antonio's body. That was terrible, wasn't it? Antonio willingly agreed, thinking that his ships would soon return with all the rich merchandise, and he could easily return the money to Shylock by selling them. Shylock made Antonio sign a bond before giving him the money. Antonio took the money and gave it to the Bassanio. Bassanio went to the Belmont to visit Portia, grandly dressed, with many servants. Portia's father had died lately. Before his death, he had thought of an unusual plan to find a good husband for his daughter. He wanted to marry Portia for herself and not for her wealth. He had 3 caskets made, one of gold, one of silver, and one of lead. Okay, caskets. We will look for this one. C-A-S-K-E-T-S, caskets. That's an interesting word, I think. Okay, caskets. Small decorative boxes used to hold valuable items or keepsakers. Okay, yeah. Small decorative boxes used to hold valuable items. Okay, cascades. In Bengali, we call it shinduk, right? Okay, so that should be cascade. Cascade. Okay, that's an interesting word. Let me write it down. Cascade. Guys, C-A-S-K-E-T-S. Cascades. Okay, beautiful. Cascades had Portia portrayed. Okay, one of the cascades had Portia portrayed in it. The suitor who would first choose the cascade with the portrait would marry her. The first one to try was the Prince of Morocco. He thought that silver and lead are poor metals. It is the casket made of precious metal that can hold the precious picture. So he chose the gold casket, but all he found was a picture of a skull with a message that said, "All that glitters is not gold." Guys, it's a proverb, isn't it? So you know that maybe. If you don't know that, look for it. All that glitters is not gold. The prince was very sad and went back home. Then came the Prince of Spain. He looked at the silver cascade for a long time. On it was written, "He who chosen me will get what he deserves." The prince had a very high opinion about himself. He thought that he deserved the best. He therefore chose the silver casket and opened it. Inside the casket, he found the picture of a blinking fool. He was very disappointed and offended. He immediately rode away. Then it was Bassanio's turn. He looked at the cascade for a long time. He thought appearances are often misleading. Bad men appear good and they hide their inner ugliness under the fine clothes. So he chose the plain-looking lead casket. On opening the casket, he found the portrait of Portia inside. Bassanio and Portia got married. There was great joy at Belmont, and he and the newly married couple were spending their time happily. But soon their happiness turned into sorrow by a piece of news. A messenger came with a letter from Antonio. The letter said, "Dear friend Bassanio, all my ships have been lost at sea. I cannot pay them the money I owe to the Shylock. So I have to pay the penalty. Dear friend, come and see me if possible. I would like to see you once before I die." Bassanio quickly left for Venice. So this is the last part of the story, the trial. Okay, so we will also look at that one. Okay, when Bassanio reached Venice, Antonio was already in the court of justice. They were waiting for the trial to begin. The Duke entered the courtroom, took his seat, and the trial began. The Duke requested Shylock to be merciful and not to claim his pound of flesh. But Shylock would not listen to him. Bassanio offered him twice the amount of money that Shylock lent Antonio, but Shylock did not accept it. He said, "I claim my pound of flesh. The law is on my side. Antonio must pay the penalty written on the bond." The Duke was extremely sorry for that. He could do nothing to help Antonio. The law was Shylock's side, and the law must be abided. Abided. That's a really good word, right? So it should be you have to follow that one. Okay. The Duke feared that although the wisest lawyer in Venice was coming to speak in defense of Antonio, he would not be able to save the merchant. Soon a young clerk entered at the courtroom with a letter for that lawyer. The lawyer was ill and would not be able to come to the court. He requested the Duke to let his young friend, Dr. Balthazar, defend Antonio. The Duke gave his permission, and Dr. Balthazar entered in the courtroom. He looked very young, and the Duke doubted if the wisdom of the young lawyer could save Antonio. This young lawyer was no other than Portia in disguise. And disguise? Okay, let me see that one. Disguise. I'll look for the pronunciation as well as the meaning, okay? So how do you pronounce this one? D-I-S-Z-U-I-S-E. Disguise, okay. The meaning of this one is like something that changes your appearance or behavior to hide who you are really. He wore a hat and sunglasses to disguise, okay, himself in the crowd. That's another one, disguise, right? Okay. So, Duke doubted his wisdom. Okay, clerk friend, who was also in disguise. Portia begged Shylock to be merciful and told him how God bestows mercy to those who are merciful themselves. Mercy, Portia said, bring a blessing to him who shows it and to him who receives it. All of us pray to the God for mercy, but God will only have mercy on us if we have mercy on others. Shylock paid no heed to the Portia. All he wanted was his pound of flesh. Portia asked, "Can't Antonio pay the debt?" Bassanio cried, "Yes, he can pay it, and even more. Even I can pay 10 times the sum my friend borrowed from Shylock." "Won't you take the money, Shylock?" Portia asked. "No, I demand the lawful penalty. Give me my pound of flesh." "Let me see bond, Shylock," said Portia. Shylock handed the bond to her. She read it with great attention and then said, "You are right, Shylock. The law is on your side. You can claim the flesh, but I would request you one more time to accept the sum Bassanio is offering you and let me tear up the bond." But Shylock would not give up his claim. Portia then turned towards Antonio and said, "Get ready, Antonio, for Shylock to cut his pound of flesh. The law gives it to him." Shylock was filled with joy on hearing what Portia said. He began to praise Portia in disguise, right, for her wisdom and righteousness. He cried out, "Oh, noble judge! Oh, excellent young man! You are a second Daniel who has come to his earth." Portia urged Shylock to cut the pound of flesh he demanded. Delighted, Shylock walked towards Antonio with a knife in hand. He told Antonio to uncover his chest. But as he was about to cut Antonio's flesh, Portia stopped him. She cried out, "Wait a second, Shylock. Never forget, there is no mention of blood in the bond. Therefore, you cannot shed You cannot shed a single drop of blood while you cut your pound of flesh, or else you pay the penalty. And the penalty is the state will take your property from you. You lose everything that you have now, Shylock. Shylock understood it was not possible for him to cut a pound of flesh without shedding a blood. He was defeated by the wise lawyer. He hung his head and without another word left courtroom. Thus Antonio's life saved. That was a really, really beautiful story, isn't it? Like, it's just so famous. I think it's from, I don't know, it's just a like small version of a famous story. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's it for today. We got some vocabs from this one. I hope we're going to meet in the next video. Till then, bye bye.